I've already had a YouTube account removed for those of you who are new, and for those of you who are returning to my videos after losing track of me. My videos, my last account was suspended because I am a racist, homophobic person who is intolerant of religion. Or so the story goes. 3 strikes, you're out. Much like the fun United States law about felonies. It's like baseball. 3 strikes, you're out. 3 strikes against your account for community guidelines and you're out. So what happened was there was a woman named Shaima Alawadi beaten to death in the city where I live, El Cajon. It's in San Diego County, California, the United States. She was beaten to death, and plenty of people were jumping in the direction of, oh, Shaima was targeted because she's a Muslim and people are being intolerant of her religion. And I went on a video and I just said, well, it's possible that it's an honor killing, that for whatever reason her husband killed her. The El Cajon Police Department told me specifically they had to put new laws in place for the large Iraqi and Middle Eastern constituency there in El Cajon because plenty of them consistently abuse their wives, and their wives don't press charges, so there's a mandatory take-in law now for the domestic violence thing. It's specific to El Cajon. I know there's a state or national one too, but El Cajon had to crack down on this. So I made a video saying, it might not be stupid redneck saying get out of our country, which is the note that Shaima's husband left next to her body after he bashed her brains in with a tire iron because she wanted to divorce him after 2 decades or so of marriage that she was forced into at 15. So I point out that might be the case. And then when it was the case, I went in full force and started pointing out all of these hypocritical Muslim women who were coming forward and saying, oh, you know, they treat us bad because of the hijab and all this kind of stuff. And I was saying, what do you know? All these people are encouraging and fostering a element of men feeling at liberty to beat their wives to death if she's going to divorce them. And I just went full in on it, and that was a strike against me. I had a video removed for that. That's a strike. Some kind of religious intolerance strike. Keeping in mind, if I were Muslim in saying that, it wouldn't have been a strike. That's strike 1. 2 more strikes, and then my account was deleted or suspended. Second strike, I don't remember which one came first, but Trayvon Martin, that's a big mess. Long story short, some guy that came to speak out on behalf of George Zimmerman and say, oh, I know him, he's not evil. And so many people criticizing that guy. It was a black guy defending George Zimmerman. So many people just focusing on the fact he's black and calling him an Uncle Tom, calling him a house Negro. I responded to a person's video where they had like 1 million views on their video calling this guy all kinds of names, including house Negro. And I responded back and had this maybe 10-minute video. And in that context, I told the person, I said, so-and-so, whoever this guy was that just came and defended somebody he knew, that's not the house Negro, you are. And so I got that video removed because I'm racist for saying house Negro. Now again, just as if I were Muslim and I spoke against the ridiculous element of wife bludgeoning, I wouldn't have had that removed. And if I were black saying, this black guy's not the house Negro, you are, wouldn't have had it removed. Last one, homophobia. I took issue with a guy named Wavy Davy. He has this video about how homosexuality is not a choice, this kind of thing. And I made a video response to him. He actually accepted it. And he had no problem with it. He disagreed with me, but he accepted the video response and we were fine. But I did not toe the line of, you hate homosexuals if you disagree with the indefensible argument that homosexuality is this genetic thing that you're born with, therefore it's legitimate, meticulous political line. So I made that video, and that was the third strike. Actually, I don't know if that was the third strike, but those were the three strikes. Racism, anti-Muslimism, and homophobia. Now, what was the result? I had 1,500, maybe 2,000 subscribers, a couple 100,000 views, and I was set to make, I was consistently going to make $200-300 a month as based on the Google Analytics, and I had actually $250 coming to me. That was all canceled once my account was deleted. Just a mess. Well, in case you just joined us, I'm here at a friend's house in Tijuana, staying until the next semester in California. I'm homeless. A long, terrible story, but $200-300 a month is not nothing to someone who has nothing. It's quite a nice amount of money. But here's something to consider. You ever wonder why not everyone is so perceptive as Russ? They don't talk on the things like Russ does. They're not so perceptive. Well, why? It doesn't benefit you. In a culture where you can be demonized for speaking against someone who's a different color than you, or different this than you, any demographic, you just have to keep quiet and like, well, I'd speak up, but I'm not, I can't be allowed that freedom of speech. No, freedom of speech just means freedom of popular speech. Freedom of speech just means speech we agree with is protected. Yeah, so that's why my account was deleted, just so you know. And as it relates to freedom of speech and being able to talk, I quote the great poet in saying that you are free to believe anything at all that keeps you afraid of your fellow slaves. And you are free to say anything at all, to be anything at all, that keeps you complacent and productive. You are free to say anything at all if you inspire insecurity in your fellow slaves and keep them buying shit that they don't need, keep them divided and keep them conquered, and you are free to know anything that I do as long as you are too helpless to disobey. That's your freedom of speech.